and welcome back to Late Afternoon with Zubaira. I'm joined here today with Mahfuzul Islam.
Yeah.
You're running...
Too much.
That was a little too much, guys, okay? You're running for Assembly, District 24.
District 24.
Mahfuzul, I did not think that you would run for Assembly, but it totally makes sense.
That's what
It
people
totally
keep saying.
makes sense because, like, Mahfuzul is a community organizer, I feel like, because, you know, you are one of the founders of Jal NYC, which is amazing because I love jal muri. Anybody else? It's a great Bengali snack. It's a great Bengali snack, you know. Why don't you tell us about that a little bit, like how you got started in that and where that trajectory led to
where I'm at
where
now.
you are now, yeah.
So Jal started with me and my cousin Alvi. We were in a tumultuous time in our lives. Alvi's mom had just passed, and he's always been about food. And Queens Night Market had just started. And back then, Queens wasn't hot and hip like it is now. And it was the first time like something big was happening in Queens, so we wanted to check it out. We checked it out. It was really cool. It's just all these vendors from all over, and there's like a price cap, and so everyone could try out the food. And they want new people who've never tried this whole food business to come in. And so we were like, all right, we're going to come in and we're going to try doing jalmuri and fuchka because that has a story to it.
Yeah.
And especially because no one really knew Bengali food, what it was at that time.
Yeah.
And so we came back and the reception was great. It was, we had people introducing people to Bengali food for the first time, and that was like, you know, we had like a Nokshikata, which is, you know, I had a story behind it and faces of significant literary figures or artists, and it sparked a conversation.
Why don't you tell us what is a Nokshikata?
Nokshikata is like a blanket that's
It is a blanket,
It's a blanket, that's it. But it's like, it's hand woven and it's got like designs that's like,
and they're so comfortable.
They're comfortable.
They're really comfortable. As a Bengali, like, we have seen our food be conflated with Indian food all the time because Bengali food has something different to it. There's like a different flavor almost to it. There's like a different, I mean, like, yes, it's very similar, but when you eat food at home, like Bengali food at home, it's not like eating out Indian restaurant food, you know? So I was really excited to see that, what you guys were doing, especially with fuchka and jalmuri. Did you go through like the whole science background?
I did,
and stuff like that?
I think everyone began that way, right?
I did not.
No, you didn't?
I didn't.
Wow, your parents were cool then.
Well, the thing is that they always knew I was bad at math. So they were just like, all right, we're going to stop. We're going to stop pushing her.
I was bad. They still forced the shit, you know, they made me do it. But I mean, like, my thing was like, I'm going to edge away from it bit by bit.
Yeah.
So I was at Stony Brook and I did, I took like a chemistry class, and I was pre-med, but my thing was like, I want to become a geneticist because that's how I'm going to change the world. But it's still related to med in a way that will make them comfortable. But I'm, you know, edging, and then I stuck that chemistry class at Stony Brook. So that's how I...
Science was just not for me.
Nah.
So then you went to Fordham, and then what did you study at Harvard?
International relations.
Oh, okay, that's one thing. I thought I was going to do that. Like, I wanted to do international relations. I wanted to be in The Hague. I learned French and everything. And then totally ditched that afterwards. What happened there? Because you also taught did you teach at Fordham?
I also taught at Fordham,
So that's really interesting that you went from like science to international relations, and then you were teaching. How did you like teaching? And then to selling jalmuri, and now you're running for Assembly. How was it like going from teaching to then running Jal to then now running?
Well, I was teaching and doing Jal at the same time.
Oh yes. That's the millennial hustle culture.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I mean, like when I was younger, I used to always like tutor. I think that's like the go-to thing where your parents are like, all right, this is one thing where you can make money and it's respectable or whatever in the Bengali culture, right? I feel like we all do that.
Yeah.
And so that transitioned nicely into like teaching a class, and I was teaching sociology at NJCU, and I was New Jersey City University. I was teaching economics at Fordham. It's fruitful because, like, especially when you have a class for a long period of time, you could kind of do what you want, and so I made it a point to bring in information that's like outside of the class. Like if someone's trying to become, if they do want to become a doctor, I'll tell them about the MCAT, and I'll tell them if they want to be a lawyer, I'll talk to them else, even though it has nothing to do with the class, because. I mean, like you know, everything is related. I don't think I think we're constantly boxed into, all right, you are this, you are that. And I think that messes people. Well, I don't think it messes people up, but it limits people.
Yeah,
it limits people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So then, what led you to running for assembly now?
Okay, so. With Jal, I mean, in addition to the food, we worked with the arts. We created a short film, and we work with stay-at-home mothers and new immigrants. I immediately worked with my own mother, who's a stay-at-home mother, and my cousins who had just come from Bangladesh, and we expanded for the rest of the community, teach them with English, building their language skills, teaching them how to navigate the city, learning how to use a smartphone so they could become independent. So that's where my organizing skills, I guess, comes from, directly with people. And I don't think, I think people perceive politics as like putting someone into office, and I think that's the problem. Like we deify people, we celebritize individuals, and that causes like that's a structural default where like we and in this day and age we don't necessarily need that person. We could have direct participatory democracy. And so around November, I mean, AOC happened, and around this November, there's a lot of insurgents. So insurgents are folks that are contending against incumbents, people who have been there for a long time. And so around November, we looked at the district that I was in, and another cousin, not Alvi, Rivu, was like, you should do this. And I was like,
we are nothing without our cousins.
Basically. For real.
Like, we need our cousins. Yeah, my cousins help me run a lot of things in my life for my show.
Free labor.
Yeah, they are. They're just there like, okay, like, what did you need, BTS? I got you. Like, you know.
Tell them secrets too, you know. Confide in them.
They're great. They're great. Shout out to cousins.
Shout out to cousins.
So Rivu.
Rivu was like, you should do this. I was like, I mean, I'm doing so much with Jal, and it's 4 years in, but it still feels like we're in the beginning phase. And I liked, being behind the scenes in that type of way. So I was like, if there's someone else running, I'd be more than happy to back them. That might be the best way I do this. We waited until January. No one announced. I said, all right, we got to do this. The guy who's been in office has been in office for 10 years. Before that was his brother. Before that was his dad. So since the 60s. Like, he's cronies with Crowley, Joseph Crowley, who used to be, like, whenever he needed money to raise, Crowley, hit up Crowley, raise money for him type of thing. So we were just like, we don't want things to continue as usual. So we're gonna, like, people usually announce long beforehand. We literally have 6 months for all this.
Can I ask you, does this incumbent live in the district?
He does. He does. Okay. Yeah, as far as to my knowledge.
Okay. Because I felt like a lot of the times they'll run for office in a place where they don't even live anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll get money Crowley, and then like Crowley for one, and then they'll like live like on Long Island or something like that, you know? So that's something that is a good point to bring up. Like, if you're not a part of the community, you can't speak for us.
And he's like the average person in the district. So the district is like Queens Village, Jamaica, Queens, Hollis Hills, Glen Oaks, Richmond Hill, Briarwood, everything north of the hillside, south of Union Turnpike, around that area. And the average person makes like less than a fifth of what he makes. So, and it's, since his, he's been in office, and his brother and all that, the district has changed drastically, and he can, how can he possibly understand the experience of the person, of an average person that lives in the district, and be able to do things that,
especially with the changing demographic and new immigrants and everything. What are your positions on, what is it that you're trying to change, basically, that the incumbent could not do for that community?
Well, I think a couple of things. Our platform is participatory democracy, inclusive economics, and revitalizing institutions that already exist. So participatory democracy is what I was just mentioning before. Things don't necessarily have to be top down anymore. It could be bottom up. One example, right now, the way an average person interacts with government, or their direct way to interact, is the community board meetings. And the community board meetings are, the members are appointed by people, and they stay there for long periods of time, 20 years at a time. And I've been talking to constituents, and they try to pass normal things like bike lanes, right? And they'll bring their friends out when the resolution has to be passed, and at the end of the day, the members will listen to their friend that's been there for 20 years rather than the constituents. But that's not how democracy works, you know.
Exactly,
Everyone is supposed to be a part of the process. So, and you know, those who want to be a part of these meetings aren't even aware when it's happening. They don't really post on social media. Some of them might have a Twitter. And in this day and age, why does that have to be? You know, why can't we message something and get an automatic response? Why isn't it live streamed and everyone works, you know?
Yeah.
So structural things are being made to either inefficiency on the government's part or intentional pushing out. So that's
basically you're just like, it's 2020, we need to update this whole system.
Exactly.
We need to get this me into office. No, no, that's such a great point to be made about how like local government runs, because like we think of government in like this grand term, like we only think of the presidency, but we don't think about like our own neighborhood. Like there's a pothole in my neighborhood that doesn't get fixed because we are in the border of Brooklyn and Queens, and like Brooklyn doesn't want to claim it and Queens doesn't want to claim it. So like this is something that we need to talk about and young people need to get involved in and things like that. So I'm really excited to see that. Do you need people to help you out with this? How can people get involved? Tell the people.
All right. Do I look at the screen?
Yes, that's your camera right there.
Mahfuzul 424, M424 is the website. Mahfuzul is Mahfuzul, weird name.
Not weird at all. No, that's a beautiful Bengali name, okay?
So we need all sorts of help. We need volunteers to help with social media, fundraising, canvassing, which is the meat of everything. We need donations, obviously. That is through the website as well. Volunteer, if you want to volunteer, you can sign up through the website. The timeline is short. So June 23rd is the actual election. Right now, we're in the petitioning period. Okay. So that's another thing. As a result of doing this that we're right now, the community is understanding how the process works. And I think that's a big reason why people aren't involved, because they don't know what's happening, right? And so, we're translating things into languages that are accessible for like our parents or other parents that, just aren't a part of the process because they don't know what's happening. So right now we're in a petitioning period. And in the petitioning period, you need 500 signatures to be on the ballot itself. And they have to be registered Democrats from the district. And we're going to try to get like 3,000 signatures because our opponent, David Weapon, has lawyers, really strong lawyers, and they're going to try to invalidate our signatures. So we're going to foolproof it and get much more as we could. So petitioning period, and then we go into registration. That's another problem. Not many folks are registered. We have about 140,000 residents, only like 40,000 are registered. So,
register to vote, please. Please make sure that you're by May. Please register to vote. This is really important. We want to see like good things happening for Queens. That's exactly like that's.
It's not just me. This is happening across the board in Queens.
In Queens, exciting. I'm seeing like a lot of new faces running for office, and that is so exciting. Like it is like people are really trying to make a change. Before we go, can you tell us like what is the future of JAW? Like what are we expecting to see? So
we're transitioning JAW into a cooperative, and so this is when we talk about inclusive economics. Like we want to focus on like socially conscious businesses, cooperatives, and credit unions. So
even
local.
Your business is like as inclusive and you're like trying to like spread this like love basically, and I mean it's just about accessibility, and that's what I love about
People over profit. People over profit. Transition to a co-op. Our long-term goal was to have a space that's community center / restaurant where you could have shutki and you could also like have language classes, and if you're new to the country you just pop in and we direct you to the right resources to get to where you need to be.
Okay, and where can we follow you and follow the progress of JAL and like just...
JAL is JAL NYC on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The campaign is Mahfuzul 424, MAHFUZUL 24, social media on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, JALNYC.com. We have something in there. I don't want to say too much about it, but for JAL NYC, so we've brought over Bengali street food so we're working on something on the other flip side, where we're bringing New York City street food to Dhaka.
Oh.
Yeah, it's something we're in the works. I don't want to,
So look out for that, Bangladesh. That's really nice. That's cool. Thank you so much for joining us, Mahfuzul. Let's hear it for Mahfuzul one more time.
Yeah.
Thank you.